This is changing perceptions. Shh, everybody quiet. Quiet on the set. Welcome to the new year. Lisa's changing perceptions. We're going to be going live in 20 seconds.
It was 15 seconds a few seconds ago.
That was on social media.
How come I don't see it?
You should see it pretty quick.
It's not on my page yet.
Well, it should be.
What'd you screw up, Kent?
I don't know.
It's not there, and I advertise. Please share this when it begins.
Should be.
It's not, Kent.
It says on Lisa's changing perceptions. It's green.
Oh, wait. It's on my other one. I was looking
Oh, man. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Lisa's Changing Perceptions with Lisa Eflin. Lisa is the creator of Changing Perceptions. Through life experience, she's discovered that we all suffer internal wounds that guide us. We live in a society that puts a label and expectation on everything and everyone. So many are in constant battle with themselves, never winning the war or ever feeling good enough. Lisa's Changing Perceptions is a show that offers tools and guidance that will assist you in discovering you and unlocking the chains of pain that bind you. You can reach Lisa at www.lisaschangingperceptions.com or give her a call at 262-573-7055. Today, meeting the person that you absolutely need to this year that'll change your life. Happy New Year, Lisa. Welcome back.
So Kent says, hold on, we're going to go live on your Facebook page. And I'm like, okay. And I'm getting ready. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, holy crap, what's happening?
Where is it?
I couldn't make it happen. So I apologize that I'm looking down at my phone. It's kind of like a bad date deal.
Just praying before the show here. New Year.
Praying to the cellular god. So I apologize. We're now going to be live on my Facebook page as well.
How about that?
As 216 The Net. So I ask and I thank you because this is really kind of cool and exciting because it spreads it more.
Yeah.
If you're watching live, even if you're not watching live, because the recordings will be in there, please share it as much as you can all over Facebook. I would be very, very, very grateful.
Absolutely. And for those listeners out there, that Facebook page is
Lisa's Changing Perceptions.
Well, brilliant.
I know. It's just, it's just a clever little pun.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I did it like first, middle, last name.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Lisa Changing Perceptions. I know I'm really creative. I am so excited. I woke up amped this morning.
Yeah.
I did. I'm very excited. This is our first show of 2022.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and change it up a little bit this year. I've got new...
What season is this?
Exciting.
Is this a new season for you?
This is my third year.
Season 3. That's exciting. That's exciting in itself.
It
right
is.
There, yeah.
And I love it. And it's truly, through good and bad, this is one of the things that I just truly look forward to every week. You know, when sometimes in life is tough, we need that thing that we do. Some people have whatever, their golf or their, whatever it is.
Yeah, fishing or whatever. Yeah.
And this is mine. I look forward to it and I'm very excited. And we're going to change it up a little bit. So we're going to talk about some different things.
And of course, this year, Lisa's Changing Perceptions brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center.
Yay.
Check them out at www.mchenrymassage.com because a good massage can also help you change your perception.
Absolutely. Massage is wonderful.
Yeah.
Massage is wonderful. So we're going to change it up a little bit this year. I'm going to have some guests on that a little bit out of the box.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, for those of you who are new, thank you and welcome. I should probably do the business part first. I am a self-empowerment coach. I am a diplomaed hypnotherapist and a certified NLP practitioner, as well as I do EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, different things to help us get through the deep wounds that we need to kind of pull up. And we'll talk about those things on the air as we always do. I'm going to review because we have so many more listeners now than we had before. So I'm going to review so that people are kind of aware of that. But for today, we're going to just kind of talk about the year and the reason I titled it is Who You Need to Meet This Year That Will Absolutely Change Your Life
Yeah.
is we're going to meet you.
Hey.
We're going to go in, and you are the only person who can change your life. And I was listening to another show, and they were talking about New Year's resolutions. And I'm like, yeah, we should have them. And there was a question that came up, and I tried to answer it in type, but I try to type so fast, and I always misspell things. So um, they said, it was you who brought it up. Why do we look at New Year's to be our day of reckoning, so to speak, or our day of resolution? And psychologically, my belief is because we look at things we look at things in years. So when I say I got married, I say I got married in 1988. When I say I graduated, I got graduated in 1986. We tend to psychologically categorize our life in years.
Huh.
So the new year can be psychologically enticing and exciting. Not to mention our society makes it the day. Of course, the day. Right. But psychologically, it's allowing you to create that year because in your memory comes in years. Mm-hmm. So my daughter was born in, you know what I mean? Like we say it in years. So this new day, this new beginning of the new year offers us psychologically a chance to go, this is the year. When I talk about the year, I'll have done this. And so it allows us psychologically to amp up and to prep for that. So that's kind of my philosophy anyway. It's worth about the paper it's written on, but that's my philosophy as to why we do that. And I've done the same thing. I told everybody the truth. I was going to mourn the holidays, and I did. I mourned them. That was the last one. So you packed it up and gave it away. Absolutely. And then I even did some self-hypnosis and closed the door behind me. Fantastic. And only took with the learnings. Awesome. I asked that the rest be left behind me and only took with the learnings. I did some other realization techniques, which are kind of real. And it's funny because there's a lot of things that we talk about that sound good. Yeah. But to actually do them and bring them in can be difficult. And one of the realizations is that we cannot grow in the environment in which we were harmed. Yeah. So what my goal kind of this year is to touch different things within people's lives that are maybe difficult to let go of, or maybe the situations they can't actually get out of, but to change a new view of it or to see it from another side. I have a doctor of psychology that's going to be coming in periodically. Nice. He says he's going to come on and he's excited, but I have a feeling because I know him personally and he's a friend of mine that he's going to end up wanting to come back because he's that way. He's 40 years in. He worked in, he's a doctor. He is a doctor, PhD of psychology, and he worked within the juvenile judicial system and the jails. And worked with a lot of different types of personalities. And he's a genuinely kind and good man. So he's going to be coming on. I actually have a recovering addict that I think will be coming on this year. And he's very intelligent, but he's also very open to talk about his highs and lows. Cool. And his falling off the wagon and coming back and what that was like and how it started. And he's a very intelligent and open person. I'm still coaxing him a little bit, not forcing him, but enticing him with courage to come because he has a really cool story and he's a really cool person. So I'm going to be bringing things like that in. I just started a new thing. I just started researching a new thing. And I'll be bringing that on later in the year. And it has to do with parents of addicts and different ways to help to address your child and how to get your own life back when your child chooses not to. Wow. So those are a lot of calls that I get. People ask all the time, like, what brought me into addiction? Well, I do have a personal story, not of my own personal addiction, but of somebody that I love and seeing the damage that it did around them. And that's actually what started me in all of this. That's tough. I am a certified smart recovery coach as well. It kind of got me into all of this. And as I'm doing it, it's funny because I don't advertise that part of me that often. But it's really the core of where all this started. Before that experience, if you would have told me 10 years ago, you'll be researching addiction and you'll be working with teens and you'll be working with if you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would have said, shut up. Yeah. Interesting, your vibration there, right? I mean, to draw that in. Yeah. And alcoholism has surrounded me my whole life. It's part of the reason I believe psychologically I don't drink. I don't have to battle myself not to drink. Yeah. I just choose not to. And alcohol doesn't mix well with me. I tell people, I get very sick when I drink and they're like, don't drink so much. No, I mean like even a small amount. It makes my stomach feel like I ate a book of matches. And I think that's just a psychological protection that at some point got
biker
created.
chick. That's interesting, huh?
And what little filter my mouth has goes away. So it usually doesn't end very well. But those are some things that we're going to be bringing in. So, I mean,
Cool.
yes, I'm a self-empowerment coach, and yes, I love to work with people one-on-one. But for 2022, I'm really excited to get out there and go, okay, you don't have to be able to afford this in order to make a difference. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars in my office to feel better. There's other ways. And I think part of that is bringing people in to share the story so that people know they're not alone. And also, Kent, blessing Kent, for the last year, I have been wanting to do this, and Kent didn't know it because, as you guys know, Kent is fairly new to be producing me. My beloved Pete was before Kent. And I had been talking with Pete for like a year. I'm like, I feel bad for people who can't afford this. I'm not so arrogant as to think, well, you'll find a way to talk to me. I don't feel that way. But I have bills to pay, you know what I mean? And it's finding and rent to pay for my office and, things to do. So I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and out of the blue, and I don't get too much into the spirit religious of this, but I said, Spirit, find a way for me to bring in income that I need to live. I'm not going to get on here and tell you I do anything for free because I can't.
Right.
If I could, I would, but reality is I can't.
Yep. It's got to be an exchange.
But Spirit, help me find a way to do this to where I can pay my bills and live a happy and comfortable life, and help people who can't afford to be in my office. And it was about 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, and of course I did that in the woods because everybody knows the woods is my place. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, after a show, Kent and I are talking, he goes, hey, why haven't you ever done this? Like, I haven't been able to afford to do this. I just haven't been in that situation. I'm a single person who's out there trying to pay the bills like everybody else. And he said, well, you can now. We're going to do this together. And I almost cried. Like, it was literally like a prayer being answered in the moment.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for it too, because I think it'll change a lot of people's perceptions and help heal the world, perhaps,
and make it to where it's accessible to anybody. So for those of you who aren't aware, we did mention it before, but now I'm so excited because we're going to start recording this month. I'm so excited. We are going to together. I'm not going to say this is just me. This is a group. This is a team effort here. Kent's jumping in on this with me and having faith in me, and I'm very grateful. We are going to be offering downloads of techniques that I do in the office with my clients, of different topics. And we're going to have them price ranging between $9.99 and $14.99, to where you can download it on your phone. You can do it at home. It's the techniques and things that I use in the office. Obviously, there are some techniques I do need to be face-to-face with you to do. But there's many that are guided, that it's my voice, and it's a guided through and a guided out and a guided visual. And there's so many of those that we decided to make them accessible to everybody. So sometime over the next month or two, I guess, hopefully we'll get them on there. We'll be announcing them as we go. And there'll be more added as we go. They'll keep building. We're going to be offering these downloads, and Kent will give details on how to do them because he's the technology person. I am not. And again, this is a team effort. So I want everybody to know that, yes, I'm doing this, but I couldn't do this without Kent and his gracious offering, which he had no idea that I had done a prayer for. So some of the topics that we're going to do is reconnecting mind, body, and spirit. And it's really getting people back into themselves, really being aware of where you are physically, mentally, emotionally, and being okay with that, no matter where it is. Accepting where you are, no matter where you are. Because the only way that we can think about it this, if you get lost, if you're out driving and you get lost, right, and you're confused and you're scared because maybe you're in an unfamiliar environment or an uncomfortable environment, maybe it's a neighborhood that doesn't make you feel safe, there's only one freaking way to get out of it, isn't there?
Run.
Figure out where you are. And how to get to where you want to go. Same thing with our life.
Well,
Where are we? Accept where we are.
That's the big thing.
Put it in your GPS. Accept where we are. We are wherever we are.
That's
and however we got here is however the hell we got here.
Doesn't matter.
But where we are right now, accept where we are right now. Look around. What do I like? What do I want to bring with me? What don't I like? Figure it out. And then trust that where you are is perfectly fine. And start walking forward. And that's what that one's all about, is just
Yeah.
reconnecting with yourself and where you are right now. We're going to do healing for pain and relief, where it's literally pain relief, where you can go and
Awesome.
do a
A
self
lot of
hypnosis
people
to
need
help
that.
with pain
There's,
relief.
yeah.
We're going to do some inner child work for self confidence, helping that negative mind talk, helping that voice that says I can't when you feel like you can, and then that voice that tells you you can't. We're going to do some inner child work with that. There's going to be downloads. These are all downloads that I'm talking about. We're going to do one for grief, and I call it the last conversation, and it's a grief technique that helps us when we've lost someone, that we live in our woulda, shoulda, coulda land.
Yeah.
Where we woulda, shoulda, coulda said, or woulda, shoulda, coulda done, or even in truth, and the technique works for all aspects of it. In truth, when somebody's passed that we're angry with, and we want to tell them, because now we're carrying anger that can never be released, and it feels like the cork about to blow, and we carry that with us. So we're going to do on that one. De-energizing the memory. And what that means is isn't your physical memory, it's the memory of a time, a moment, or a situation that holds you. And it's a technique that where you actually literally de-energize that in your mind.
Okay.
And we let go of the energy that's attached to that. Doesn't mean we forget it, because I actually get that call sometimes. Can you make me forget something? No. I would forget I liked pie if I could do that. So
Eric Bam says, "Good morning, Happy New Year."
good morning, Happy New Year. So it's a technique to de-energize memories that we hold on to, those things that replay in our mind and hold on to us. We're also going to do a take your power back. So that can be good for people who have been in abuse or trauma situations, taking your power back. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know is another one that we're going to do, because a lot of times people don't realize that when they are beating themselves up for something that they did, they're doing it from their current state.
Yeah.
So I can right now, I'm 53 years old. I've had some life experience. I can right now look back at something I did when I was 35 and beat the crap out of myself for how stupid it was. But if I went back to when I was 35 and reviewed what I knew then, what my situation was then, what my life experience was then, we would see it differently. So that's going to be another one. So those are just some of them to come. I'm very, very, very excited about them.
And of course, you go out to Lisa's changingperceptions.com. I've got it up on the screen right now. It's a great website. And you can contact her there. Her phone number is there. You can message her, whatever. But a lot of what you're talking about is going to be there as well, out on your Facebook as well. Follow her on all social media. Follow 216 on all social media. Eric says 2022 motto is lean into it.
True. And depending on what it is that you need to lean into. For some people, it is moving forward. Maybe they've accomplished and conquered some of their things.
Yeah.
Some people, it's lean into the ugly part that's holding you back. Lean into the brick wall in front of you and let's start pushing it over. And it is just, again, there, like I said, the psychology of the new year is there. If we were going to get into astrology, I would tell you that 2022 is the year for that too, but we're not going to get into all the details of that. But that is actually the year of it. And I can feel it. Like, I'm so pumped. Is Eric being smart?
Lean into it. He says sex.
Oh, if you're just leaning into it, that's why you're home alone.
He does have his bedazzled pants.
So anyway, that's what we're going to be working into. So I'm excited for those. We will let you know as they come. That's just a taste of them, and everything I just listed, for the record, are things that I can do one-on-one, and it would in fact be in more depth. I don't mean to say that the downloads are going to be the same as a one-on-one session, but they are a big portion of that one-on-one session, and they are things that you can do at home in the privacy of your own home. So I'm very excited for it. Again, we'll hopefully get those out in the next few months. I'm going to give some things today that I think everybody should or could try, or recommend that you try this year. And it's kind of the beginning steps, is some techniques to just do each day, to kind of get you started, to get you remotivated into your life and yourself. Again, we cannot change if we only remain in the environment, situation, and viewpoint that held us back. So I know we live in a very impatient society, and I am one of those impatient people. So sometimes that's a struggle. But truly, the only way out of where you don't want to be is one step at a time.
Yeah.
And so I find that a lot of times it gets looked at and it's too big and broad of a picture. So the reason, and I heard you guys were talking about it on your show, is that why do so many people give up their New Year's resolutions?
Yeah.
Because in my experience and in my viewpoint is that because we only look at the outcome, and then as we go through each day, we're only focused on the outcome, but we forget that there's a process to get there. So one of the things that I talked about, I tried to talk about anyway and type, and it came out wrong, is that when I work with clients to work with goals, I work with them backwards.
Yeah.
So go to the goal. So in other words, I want to buy a house this year. That's one of my 2022 resolutions, is to buy a new house this year. And once the market pops, because this is ridiculous, but what that I'm going to buy a new house this year. So in order to do that, and really it's been a few years and I've had some struggles that have caused that not to be the thing. So, but I'm going to let it be the thing. And then truthfully, even I have my little unconscious part of me that says, well, but what if you can't? What if you don't? Like, what if this happens? What if this happens? It's like, so I go to the house. I picture myself buying the house, in the house. And then I step back and go, what did I have to do before I stood in the house? I had to go look for the house. What did I do before I had to go look for the house? I had to call the realtor. What did I do before I had to call the realtor? I had to know where I wanted to be and what and literally walk yourself backwards. And I tell people, write it down, walking yourself backwards.
Steps, yeah.
And then once you have that, what'll happen is your mind will start to go and you'll get even more detail. Go add it in between the lines. Go add it in between the lines. And you'll get the pieces. But by walking yourself backwards like that, all of a sudden, the goal isn't so far away that you don't think you can reach it. You're working from the goal backwards, literally step by step. I had to, people will get this detailed. I had to pick up the phone to call the realtor. I had to, and get it. And what you have after a day, a week, a month, however long it takes you, is you literally have your roadmap.
Yeah. And I think
you literally have your roadmap.
And I love that that idea of doing that, because I think most people dislike how to reach a goal, right? I mean, they dislike that process, if that makes sense.
Well, because it's scary and they don't know how to do it. And what happens is that we do have it within us to do it, but when we only look forward, we say things like, well, I don't know how to sign a contract. I don't know how to find a lawyer. Whatever it is for whatever you're going to do. But when you start there and you work your process backwards, you see, first off, the steps. You create yourself a flow chart, but you see yourself accomplishing it too. So you see that you did that versus what you have to do. You see what you've already done, and psychologically it holds.
Okay. Do you put in there, I failed miserably, I had to pick myself up and dust myself off?
If you see that within it when you do it, when you start getting into this, and again, it's some of the techniques to get yourself in a relaxed state and you allow that part of your mind to open up. If you see that, then you do it. I view failing miserably differently.
Right.
I view it as, I learned a very difficult lesson
I'm
there.
that way too.
Now I know what I don't want to do.
Right.
I don't want to repeat that. Thank you for letting me see what I don't want to do. That's one less thing to choose from next time. So it is a matter of how we word it. Like my friend, actually, I just had this conversation. Wording, I know that in the guru books, it sounds like just little quotes, but truthfully, sometimes it can make a big difference. Like you guys have met my friend Christina, my beautiful friend Christina in New York, who's waiting for a kidney. And she goes to dialysis 3 to 4 days a week. And we've been working on some hypnosis stuff with her too while she's in diet, so that when she's at dialysis, she can, kind of envision and process that differently. And so I said, why do you call it dialysis? Call it your healing sessions. Because do you see the negative condensation dialysis has in our mind to what we're going through? It says something's wrong and I'm here because something's wrong. Where when we say we're going to our healing sessions, when we're there and we continue to repeat that, we will then begin to view them as a healing session. So while you're there, you don't have that negative condensation. Now, I know that sounds very guru self-helpy, but there's a psychology behind how you view the energy of being there. You can view the energy of being there as being sick, or you can view the energy of being there as being well.
Right.
It's a time of rest. You're allowing your kidneys to rest. You're allowing them to get what they need. You're allowing them to be cared for. And to see it that way, because our brain does tell our body what to do. So the way we see things is the way our body will take it on. And we talked about that sometime with body syndromes, and we'll go over that again this year. But just those little simple changes.
Yeah.
So, yes, when you're working backwards, if you see as you're stepping backwards and you go, hey, I did this. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't seem like that would be a great idea to do. Why did I put that in the flow? Cool. You just learned what you don't want to do. But it'll get more detailed, and you can literally keep working it and keep adding to it. So I always tell people leave space in between each step. Keep working at it and keep adding it till you say, you can get it down to, and I went to a chamber meeting and I socialized.
Yeah.
And I gave out my card, and I get it way down into the core,
Right.
way down into
Way
every
down
little
in the
detail and
minutia,
step.
yeah.
Literally, I picked up the phone and I called the realtor,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And you can break down into those details. You don't have to start off with the details. Again, don't overwhelm yourself. That's what we tend to do, is jump in and take on way too much. Basics. Standing in the house, to stand in the house, I had to go to the house to look at it. To go to the house to look at it, I had to go to the realtor. And just make it basic and leave some spaces in between. And then get your mind going. And when you think of something, add it in between. And you literally will build yourself the roadmap to where you want to go. I tend to emotional shop sometimes. And so I've had to curb that because that doesn't really conjure up my house. So I don't beat myself up when I get the desire to emotional shop. I stop and I look at things now, and when I catch it, I go, okay, do you need this? Does this get you to your home?
Right.
Meaning, if it's something I really need, then I'm going to get it. Say I have an event or something I have to go to and I need an appropriate something for it. Well, that's fine. That's my life. That's my business. That's my, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Then that does get me to my house. See how that, even that,
Yeah.
that shopping, that would get me to my home. Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Yes, this is a professional outfit that will get me to where I want to go. Or no, I really don't need to buy that $100 blouse for New Year's Eve party that I'm never going to wear again. You know what I mean? Get me to my home. So I just ask, does this get me to where I want to go?
Yeah.
And it's either yes or no. And here's the thing, be good with that, whatever it is.
Shayna says words are very powerful. They're used in spelling. Good morning. And
good morning.
And Denise says good morning as
well. Good morning.
So in what way, how specific? You say you want a house. I mean, do you get very specific with that? Like, I want a little Cape Cod with the
I'm weird about it because I'm struggling a little bit with it because I'm afraid to fail. So but I'm aware of my fear to fail. So I acknowledge my fear to fail. And here's what people don't get. I comfort my fear to fail.
Sure.
Because if you spend so much time hiding something, you give it way too much energy than it needs. So I feel your need to fail. I feel why it's there.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. Is that still realistic? Do you have evidence that is still a true factor? Have you changed? Where have you changed since the last time you feel like you failed? And I kind of look at it that way. But I have had a house in my head for 14 years, I guess. Is that the one I'm moving to this year? I don't know. But I have an idea of what I'm looking for. Yes. Whether spirit brings me to the position of that one this year.
Yeah.
Or whether this is my step towards it is up to whatever comes into life. Those are the kinds of details that I don't beat myself up over. I give myself a concept, a core, what I want in an energy field, and then the rest of it plays out. The house in my head, actually, it's funny. People assume that it's a mansion, and it's really not. It's just a house.
It's only 20,000 square feet.
No, you know what? It's probably like 2,000. Like, it's really not. It's just a very house that's very home to me.
Yeah,
it's a very homey feel to me. Yeah. All I see with 20,000 square feet is, oh my God, all that cleaning, all that dust.
All the dust.
Yeah, I want no part of that. So yes, I do have an idea of what it is, but what I find is that when we get in too much adamant detail, we're setting up an expectation that our mind can never find. So in other words, if I say it has to be this color and it has to be this and it has to be that, then I've locked myself into a commitment that I may not be able to find because it might not be there, might not be where I want to go. And now I've set myself up for disappointment with expectation. Okay. So my expectation is to be in a home that I feel home in, safe in, that I can welcome and choose the energy that enters in an environment that makes me happy. That is
Yeah.
my. Now I know that I don't want to lug laundry up and down the stairs, so I know I'm not going to have a laundry room in a basement and a bedroom on the second floor.
Yeah.
I mean, I know things like that, but I don't have myself so locked into the have tos. And my experience has been that when we lock ourselves into the have tos, we set ourselves up for too much
Sure.
disappointment.
Now you also well, a lot of the gurus and people out there are smart goals, right? Measurable, has a time, right? You, when you're doing this and you're reverse engineering these resolutions and or goals, do you start with the date? Like, hey, by July 18th, I want to be in a house.
You can start with the
Mhm.
date. And then once you set your date, that's fine. But you need to be very calm and very truthful and and not too idealistic, and ask yourselves, is this a realistic date for me?
Yeah.
You know, if I say I'm going to be Tony Robbins by July 18th, you know what I mean? Filling stadiums.
Oh, that way. I was like,
See
man,
what
your hands got to grow a lot.
But see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it depends on
Yeah.
what is your goal.
Right. Right.
My goal, my personal goal for the house is by next year, come the holidays, since
Yeah.
I mourn them this year, I will be in a home that is welcome and loving,
Yeah.
with a happy energy for all to come.
Yeah.
So that is my goal. Do I have a specific date? No, but I have a time frame
Sure.
that I want to be in and comfortable by.
And Eric says, ironic you're talking about houses. Started writing down last night what I want in my new house, visualizing,
Yeah.
writing it down and taking action, building it, just really.
Absolutely. And some things with that, and it's funny because this can work with houses because I've done it, and it can work with dating and relationships as well.
Yeah.
And because it's funny because I use the same technique for both, and people struggle with both, is to have your list of have to haves, your list of would be nice,
Yeah.
and your list of absolutely not.
So,
And know what they are, and know that as you start to open your mind, those will interchange. They will switch columns.
yeah. Thanks, Denise. Got it. Haha. Tony Robbins, banana hands. And Tony, thanks for tuning in today at 21.6 and it.
Oh, that'd
Lisa's
be great.
changing perceptions. And anytime you want to be on the show, Tony, we'd love to have you.
I'd probably make him insane.
Yeah. Oh, follow, all the social medias out there for Lisa and Lisa's Changing Perceptions. Visit her out there at www.lisaschangingperceptions.com as well. Hashtag Lisa Robbins is what's out there. And of course, the Lisa's Changing Perceptions show brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. Check them out at www.mchenrymassage.com.
Pete and I talked about this one. So as we talk about that list, is that again, have your have to haves,
Yeah,
your would be nices, and your absolutely nots. And that's what I say. It can go to just about anything. Buying a car, buying a house, dating,
yeah,
choosing a relationship. Who will you allow in your life? And those things, as you start to broaden and get more detailed, they'll kind of switch columns when we get realistic. And the way I explained it to Pete is I said, it's kind of like building your favorite sundae. Your have to haves are going to be your flavor of ice cream.
Yeah.
That's your foundation, your core. And it tastes good because you like it. But if there were, excuse me, some sprinkles or some caramel or some hot fudge, that would make it even better.
Even better.
But I would like the ice cream even without it. It's good to me. And the toppings are the bonus. They're the bonus round. And the absolutely nots are, I hate those. I wouldn't want to put nuts on my sundae, or I wouldn't want to put, chocolate on my sundae. So
I don't know, or brownies. I don't know why anybody put nuts in brownies either.
See, that's what I mean. So those are your absolutely will not have.
Yeah.
So like on my will not have list would be, I will not have a laundry room in the basement because I don't want to lug up laundry. Yeah. I just don't want to.
Good evening, Gary. Singapore.
Hi,
Gary. Hopefully you had a great Sunday. And he says we all love ice cream.
Yeah. But that's kind of the easiest analogy I can come up with. Is that you got to make sure your flavor is your favorite flavor. Right. That's your have to haves.
Has to have.
Your favorite flavor, and then the rest of the toppings are just the bonus specials.
And this goes for anything that you want to achieve, not just a home.
Absolutely.
This goes for
a new business, a new relationship, a new car. It can go for anything if you really think about it. Because what happens is that we tend to say, oh my God, this year I'm going to accomplish the biggest sundae ever seen in the world. It's going to be in Guinness. You know what I mean? And we make this thing. And then all of a sudden, when we look at it, it's kind of like when you go to order that sundae at Baskin Robbins and you've ordered that monster thing. And then all of a sudden you look at it and go, how the hell am I going to eat all this?
Right.
Now it makes me nauseous to look at it. I don't even like ice cream right now because that made me sick. See what I said? We take on too much.
I don't know if I do either, because Gary just said rum and raisins. God bless Singapore with some ice cream flavors. Shayna says, I like the idea of constantly reevaluating if what you're doing still resonates with the goal.
Absolutely, because we change.
Yeah.
We change, we grow, we learn, we expand. Like I said, if 10 years ago you would have said that this is what I'd be doing, I would have said, shut up. You're crazy. I wouldn't deal with all that. And now look at me. And why did my view change? Because situations and events and life experience happened and I changed and I grew and I developed and I went in a certain direction. So we do have to reevaluate. Problem is some of us reevaluate too quickly.
Yeah.
So in other words, we have a bad day or a bad moment. And all of a sudden we have changed our entire goals because of that bad day or bad moment. And that's why getting ready to know who is the most important person you need to know this year to change your whole life. And it's you and understanding you. So the list is a great thing to start with. The working yourself backwards from your goal is a great thing to start with. And then the other thing, this is the most important, whether you choose to make some big change this year or not, like to where you have that goal or you have that written thing is, I recommend multiple times a day that you check in with yourself. And that's just literally to take a moment, even and the more you do it, the easier it becomes, to take a moment and be exactly where you are. Take a moment and realize, I'm sitting here on this chair right now. I'm in the studio. I'm in this chair. Do a body scan, quick scan from your toes, work your way up your legs, up through your body, all the way up to the top of your head. How do I feel? You know, like right now, my back is actually sore because I slept weird. So just be aware, my back is sore, a little uncomfortable. My back's a little uncomfortable today. I feel my feet on the bars of the bar stool. I can feel them sitting there. I'm in a good mood. I have a good energy. Yeah. Okay, I'm good. Check in with yourself multiple times a day. And here's the thing. If you go my girlfriend messaged me the other day and she said, hey, why don't you just give me a call? And I said, oh, because I'm a bitch right now.
Right.
I need a few. And she's like, oh, okay. And she calls me GT, but she's used to it. She'll go, okay. Or she'll reply with, I've handled your bitch before. I'm good.
Yeah.
So that means her energy can handle me being in an off mood. You know what I mean? Like she can feel it. But here's the thing. Be okay with what that is. Because what society tells us is you can't be that. Change the way you feel. We cannot just change the way we feel, but we can accept the way we feel and then realize we choose no longer to feel that and then choose to look at something differently. But when we instantly are told we're wrong for how we feel, that little unconscious part that says I'm not good enough and I don't do anything right and I'm not worthy starts to go, yeah, see?
So really, what we need to do facing this new year to meet the person that we need to meet to make our life totally different, right? Is you have to take time to
accept them for exactly who they are right now.
And that person is really you.
Absolutely.
Not Lisa or Kent, but self.
Right. It's self. Correct.
Yeah.
But
that's hard.
Just absolutely.
And
because in that we feel, and this is where I struggle with a lot of the self-help stuff. I get the concept of it, but I feel like a lot of it tells us that the rest of it's wrong.
Right.
Accept the fact, you know what? But when I go there, for whatever it is, when I go there, I feel shame. Okay. Accept the fact I feel shame. Why do I feel shame? What brings that shame on? What do I know now that I didn't know then? What can I take the lesson from it? What did I learn from that shame? Yeah. And what can I become now because of it versus not become because of it? And start to dissect it little by little. It's a matter of accepting where we are in the very moment that we're in it, the very moment that we take that and accepting whoever that is. Because until we accept it and see it for what it is, we don't know what we don't do and don't like about ourselves. We don't know what to change.
So you're not going to jump into the lifeboat if you don't accept that the Titanic is sinking.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
So you have to kind of stop and take a deep breath and go, okay, This is where I'm at on the game board, and I can either sit here and do nothing, I can go backwards and lose space,
Right.
or I can say, okay, let's move forward.
And that sounds easy.
Right.
And it's a lot harder for many than people realize that it is, because they feel so stuck, and because that mind and that self-sabotage is so incredibly
Yeah.
great. Somebody asked me a couple weeks ago, they're angry. How do you get somebody past being angry? And I say, I tell them, be angry.
That's it. Let it out.
Be angry.
Go crazy.
Accept you're angry. You're damn angry. Let that anger. What? Tell me about your anger.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe you're not angrier.
Yeah, reality.
Get angrier. Yeah. Seriously, you're not angrier about that? And feed it and allow it to be accepted. And what will happen in a very quick period of time, and I mean like from the beginning of a session to the end of a session, is all of a sudden they'll go, but I don't really want to be angry. Oh, you don't? I thought we were doing angry.
Yeah.
You don't want to be angry? Okay, cool. What would you rather be? Because what happens is that you didn't force them to bury it. Do you know how much energy it takes to hold a secret? To hold, you know what I mean? To really bury a secret, and to conspire to not show something somebody doesn't want to say. So it's the freedom of going, okay, you're angry?
Right.
Let's be angry. And that's why my friend who I said I'm too much of a bitch to talk right now. It's my friend in New York who has the kidney failure. So when I'm in a mood and I have an energy that's not pleasant, I let her know, because that's not for me to dump on her. She has enough of her own garbage. And it's a common thing that we've gone back and forth. And she'll reply with, okay, GT, because she calls me that from my old radio days. Okay, GT, I'm good with your energy today. Go ahead and call me anyway. So she already knows what that's going to be like. And I'm going to vent and I'm going to rant. Yeah. And I'm going to say I'm irrational and I'm angry and I'm crying over this and I'm mad about this and and then all of a sudden by the end of the conversation, we're laughing. I'm no longer stewing. Why? Because I was allowed to be irrational in the moment, because emotions were overwhelming me in the moment. Thoughts were getting to me in the moment. And I just expressed them, and I learned to accept myself for wherever I am. Whatever I am in that moment. And I set whatever that is free, but I'm respectful and have integrity with it. You don't puke it into other lives and onto other people. Have integrity within how you're feeling.
And Shana says it's so uncomfortable to do. But at the same time, society says can't, right? So and here's what I'm trying to get at. If we're trying to meet the person we need to make 2022 the absolute best year of our life, society has built this person, right? Media, everything we've learned, this type of schooling we went to, the
society has dressed this person and masked this person. Yes.
Okay. So it's hard to say and just be like, here, this is who I am, when in fact you go, is it really who I am?
Right. Do you know why that's
not
hard?
Who I want to be.
Because we don't dissect it.
Yeah.
Because when here's a very difficult question, but a very enlightening question when you start to do this. When you say, who am I? Pay attention and to the instant you say that, to whose voice you hear in your head and what they say.
Interesting.
Because the odds are it will not be your own.
Right.
And that's how you start to figure out where you got those thoughts from. Okay. Who are you trying to be because of? Who told you you had to be a certain way? And those are all layers that have to come off. They all layers that have to come off.
Shana has a great question too. She says, how do you help people who know the anger is irrational?
Allow them to have irrational anger. Accept it. Let's be irrational. Tell me about your irrational anger. Share it with me. As long as they're nonviolent and do no harm.
Yeah.
Never. Okay. Your anger. I can see your anger. I can feel your anger. I feel it. I am so sorry for whatever hurt you to bring this much anger to you. It almost probably seems like it's spinning and it feels irrational at times. Tell me about it. Don't worry about your words. Tell me about it. And if they raise their voice, they raise their voice. Let them be exactly who they are, if you're willing to allow that. If you're not willing to allow that, and you're going to stop them when you get uncomfortable, you're going to judge them for what they're doing, don't offer.
Yeah.
But allow them to be. And here's the thing, if the first thought is society says, first off, look at society right now. Is this
Yeah.
what we want to use as our scale and our gauge?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, it's truth.
Right.
Right. I mean,
Right.
why not?
And a lot of this can be done in your own four walls, because what's happened a lot, and I've only discovered this in the last few years for myself to the point where I'm really comfortable with it, is if we're not comfortable with ourselves by ourselves and proud of ourselves by ourselves,
Yeah.
we haven't done shit.
Yeah.
Because we're still chasing the
Well, and
ideology
I've said that
of
to
other
my
people.
kids the whole time. I'm like, hey, if the whole world were the end today and you were the last person alive, you got to be able to live with yourself.
Right.
And
I've
that's
learned
a deep.
to be comfortable sitting in I make my room, my bedroom is my haven.
Yeah.
Like, I have Buddhas and archangel statues,
Sure.
and I have the bed that I love, and it's kind of my haven, and I'm perfectly content there for a whole weekend, never speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
Just watching TV or
That's
meditating
my
or
kids
listening
are
to
that way.
music or taking a nap or whatever. And I will tell you that 10 years ago, I couldn't do that. Especially right after my husband died. I was crawling out of my skin to spend any time alone. Why? Why would that be? Because then you're in your head, and then you're facing your own reality, and you're seeing your reality. I'm seeing my life now that he's not here anymore. And every time I walk in the kitchen, I see that he's not going to walk through the door anymore. And I would go through these spin cycles where I would become irrational and insane feeling. There was a point where I actually thought, okay, you're about to have a nervous breakdown. I mean, legit, not even being sarcastic. I thought, you're about to have a nervous breakdown. You need to get a freaking grip, because you've got two daughters who are looking at you for strength and need you here. And you truly don't even like yourself enough to spend time alone.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to go, okay, and started kind of the process of really digging.
And that's interesting. And Shane says, that's me pillow screaming.
And take the pillow, beat the shit out of your bed with it. Take that anger out and allow yourself to be it. And here's the thing. You don't have to do it saying, I have to get rid of this. That's not our goal.
Yeah.
Our goal is to accept it, comfort it, and love it. And here's how I tell people. If a 3-year-old was really hurt, say a 3-year-old was really bullied on the playground, and they were mean and brutal and said horrible things to them, and it really hurt their feelings, and they came running up to you, Kent, and said, this is what happened, and it really hurt them, and they were really, really mad. Would you reprimand them for being mad? No. Or would you comfort and love them for being hurt?
Yeah.
Why do we not do that for ourselves?
That's true. That's true.
Because if you reprimand them for being mad, what happens? Now they feel wrong, and they're angrier, and they're holding it.
Yeah.
But if you comfort them that they were hurt and allow them to express that they were hurt and just give them love and no advice in that moment, but comfort the anger and hurt that they feel, then they feel what? Loved. Wow. Accepted.
So we as some people might have tuned in and saw, we were down at the Slipstream Studios over New Year's Eve, and it was great. And a lot has happened in the last year, personally, professionally, for myself.
Right.
And the couple of the guys that were there are some of my dearest friends. One's truly a brother to me. And the other is just a guy that I know, but he and I tend to be able to just irritate the shit out of each other, but in a good way. Right. And
each other's buttons, the right ones.
Yeah. And at about 2 a.m, he hit it and it just came out. Boom. All the stress, all the anger, and I hit him. I mean, just, and
so you snapped.
Yeah. And
the lid blew off the pot.
And he kind of snapped. It was awesome. And then when it was done, it was done. And I looked at him. I said, then we just kind of sat there in silence, like, whoa, let's collect this. But then, afterwards I go, I have to thank you, because you're one of the only people who allows me to just do this without judging, without doing this. And then we hug and we love each other and it's done.
Exactly.
Right. And I apologized, didn't apologize for the anger, but I said, I apologize that you were the target of this.
Right.
Obviously there was a lot of stuff crammed down, tamped down, stamped down. And
it needed to go.
Yeah. And you hit a switch that just said,
And it's a
Right?
literal physical feeling better because it's a literal physical
yeah.
energy leaving the body. That's like my friend Christina in New York again. We've been friends for like 15 years, and people laugh because we've never met in person.
Yeah.
We met on the radio a million
Yeah.
years ago, and we've just been friends all these years. She's been through the darkest of dark with me, and the good points too. And there are times when my ball of yarn, that's what I call when our thoughts get all intermingled with each
Yeah.
other and we can't sort them out. My ball of yarn gets too twisted and I need to sort it out and lay it out again so it's straight. And sometimes I'll message her and just say, "How are you feeling? Do you have time for me to be irrational?"
Yeah.
And she'll go, "Yeah, let me grab coffee," you know? And I'll call her. And there's been times I've called her and she'll go, "Hey, GT." And I'm like, "Hey." She'll go, "Go ahead." And I will just all of
Yeah.
it. Just
Here
no
you
matter whether it
go.
even makes sense.
Right.
Just everything that's spinning in my head, every thought, every feeling, everything out in my head. And then what happens is once it kind of comes up and out,
Yeah.
first off, it's a physical energy leaving your body, but you also rehear it. So you're
A lot of
hearing
times,
it.
right? You're like,
You're
whoa.
hearing it again. And all of a sudden, your brain can make sense of it different.
Yeah.
So there's been times literally, and we laugh about this, where I've done that and I've called, and all of a sudden I go, "Oh, holy shit. Never mind, I got it now. Thank you, love you,
Yeah.
bye." And she'll have never said anything, but she's allowed herself to be somebody to hear me. We don't always have to have another person to hear us. I'm blessed that I do.
Right. Right.
But you
Correct.
can do that to your bed as you're beating it with your pillow.
Yeah.
I've done that before. Before my husband was even sick, and I don't even know if a lot of people know this, is that before my husband was sick, for 4 years prior to that, it was starting in 08, I had gotten a phone call. I was working for a resort actually in the Bahamas back then, and I had gotten a phone call. "By the way, the resort's being shut down in 5 minutes. Your paychecks are going to bounce. You're done." And in 08, remember the economy?
That's right.
And for 4 years, I couldn't find a decent job. And we ended up losing our home and everything where we gave it up, just gave it up. We're done. And during those 4 years, it was tough.
Yeah.
We gave savings, stocks, I mean, everything. We borrowed money from my parents, anything to survive. And there were times when I thought I'm going to snap, but I had these little girls and this wonderful husband who was working as hard as he could, but just couldn't keep up with the demands of what was going on. And I would take my pillow and beat my mattress while screaming WTF, but not using the abbreviation.
Right. Yeah.
Why is this happening? I don't know what to do. Why is no one up there helping me? Because I have a faith that I do.
What's going on?
Why is no one helping me? Show me the way. I've been a good person, everything that we're feeling, and I would get it out and I would beat it until I was truly physically exhausted. And I was physically exhausted, so my muscles were tired, and all that energy was purged out. And then I would sit and I'd be out of breath and I'd calm down because sometimes I might do that for half an hour, just letting it all out. And then I'd calm down, and all of a sudden your body starts to go, relax, and it starts to chill. And your mind starts to chill. Why? Because you got it out. And then because of my faith and because of what I do, I go, "Okay, thanks for listening, guys. Any karma attached to that. Can we just clear that up?"
Right.
That was just a venting session. But it allowed my mind to clear to where I could calm. And sometimes I might cry, that energy, maybe the sadness needed to go after that. Or sometimes I would just feel better. But you know what happened more times than not? Some sort of an idea and inspiration would come.
Yeah.
Something new would come in, but we can't allow that to come up and come in if we've got our space filled with all the muck.
Yeah.
You got to clear out the muck,
You do.
So sometimes really letting that out does it. And like I said, I happen to have a people, actually I have more than one person in my life that allows me to do that sometimes. But if you don't have that, that's okay. You do have that. You have your pillow and your mattress. And people say all the time, "Why the pillow and mattress?" Because you can't hurt anybody or yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why. Because you're not going to break anything. You're not going to hurt anybody or yourself. But it's a physical releasing of that.
Yeah.
And even before and after that, like I said, with checking in with yourself throughout the day, when people have anxiety, and they'll go, "Oh my God, I have anxiety." I'm like, okay, where did it come from? When did that feeling start to stir up?
Yeah.
What was going on? Where did your mind go? "I don't know. I'm just filled with it now." Right. But when we check in with ourselves multiple times a day and we're aware of it, you go, "Oh, you know what? I'm getting kind of that anxious feeling starting. Where's that coming from? Where do I feel that in my body? What's going on around me? What is in my mind? And it seems like it would take forever and you have to do some big process, but the more you do it, the more easy it becomes. And when you do that certain times that throughout the day, just periodically, there's no time limit. You have to do it every 2 hours,
Right.
every 1 hour and 42 minutes. No, there's nothing like that. It's when it pops into your mind, go ahead and do
Yeah.
a quick scan. How are we doing? And it also helps us to not be triggered by other people as greatly. So, like, I had a
Right.
girlfriend the other day call me, and she's going through something that I actually went through several years back. And I was allowing her to vent what she was doing, but there were certain things that she was saying in her anger that were triggering me really bad. And I'm like, oh, be aware that this is triggering you. It's
Easy.
triggering you because you've had this experience.
Yeah.
She's venting to you. She's not at you. And just keeping myself in check with, you're in a good space right now,
Yep.
and you were in a good space before this phone call. These are triggers. Pay attention to your triggers. Be aware that that's what they are. And it's just kind of knowing yourself and accepting yourself. And it got to a point where at one point I was like, oh, okay, I don't know that I can control the snap, because I could feel the snap. And I finally went, hey, for right now,
Time out. Yeah.
got to step away from this, need to go clear my head, because I knew I'm about to react in a way I'm not going to be happy with, because this is too much for me in the moment.
So a lot of us and a lot of our listeners, of course, are not kids,
Or
right?
what?
Are not kids.
Right.
We're adults, and
Mhm.
many of us have.
That makes us worse than kids.
Yeah. Right. So why is it if we need to meet that person, to have the best year of our life, why do we keep running from that person?
Because the unknown is the scariest thing. And the unknown creates fear, and fear is the most number one controlling emotion in the world.
Well, people either, I mean, they do, they do something because of fear or pain or pleasure, I guess, right?
And even the unknown is scary for people, but
Yeah.
even scarier is the known and accepting of the known. So sometimes it's finding the self acceptance that maybe we weren't the greatest person.
Uh-huh.
Maybe we made some bad choices. Maybe we hurt someone. Um, Maybe someone hurt us and we never voiced it.
Right.
It's funny because there was somebody who did something that hurt me very bad, and it hurt me to a core pain. And it threw me for a loop, and that loop lasted a few years. And I finally, as part of my mourning, the end of the year, sat down and went, you know what? This is what you did. And this is how it affected me. And yes, I allowed it to affect me, but it was because I was kind and loving that the opportunity was given. And for that, I hand that back to you. And for whatever damage that caused to me, I'm handing that back to you now, too. I love you. I wish you the best, but this is no longer something acceptable in my life. And people, why would you do that? Why would you even bother? And I'm like, because sometimes we have to take that and hand it back. We carry somebody else's BS. And there were times in that situation, because it was a toxic situation, where I did not react well, but I also took accountability for that. For where I was toxic in my response, I apologize, and I will own that and carry that with me. I will now change better for it. What we do with it is what we choose to do with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's that kind of accountability, because we tend to say, well, I could have just said, well, they did this and it made my life this way.
Yep.
Well, and you stood right there and took that shit. So
Yeah.
when you did, you weren't okay. When you did, you weren't locked in.
Yeah.
What can't change what someone else does, but what part of us stayed? What part of us was there? And then accept that's a wounded part of you, or that's a learned process, or that whatever it is, accept yourself for who you are, where you are right now, no matter where it is, in all aspects. And if you're sad, be sad. And if you're shamed, be shamed. But that doesn't mean remain in it. Accept it, see it, feel it, love it, because it's a part of you.
Yeah.
It is a genuine part of you. And without that aspect of you, you couldn't move forward better. And we have two choices in life. We can't control what's going on around us. We can only control our response to us. And when we have made a mistake, or when harm has been done to us, we have two choices: be better, be better.
Yep.
And we can't choose that until we see what it is we're really, really looking at. So Kent's giving me the wave down that we're out of time.
Yeah, about a
Thank
minute and a
everybody.
half.
Kind of babbled on today. I hope people really kind of understood what I was trying to say today, and it's just really some easy self-reflective baby steps starting forward. Again, looking forward to having these downloads available really
Yeah,
soon.
gonna be awesome.
I'm hyped. If there's a topic that you have heard on the show that I did not list that you would like to see as a download, please email Kent or myself, through Kent, I guess, at 216thenet.com and say, hey, Lisa's talked about such and such on the show. Is there a download she could create for this topic?
Yep.
Please send them in and request, and if it's possible, I will absolutely do it for you.
That's it. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Our good friends across the globe, thanks for joining us. I know it's late, so love that you're here with us. For all of us here, 216 Net. Right now, we're going to the Fellowship of Faith Power Hour there, so enjoy that and come back for Metaphysical Meanderings at 11:30.
Have a good one, everybody. Be safe. Be you.